and welcome to the Lehigh Valley with Love podcast. Big episode. We have Joetta Clark-Diggs, also known as Joetta, an American middle distance runner. The American middle distance runner for a lot of people. A 4-time Olympian, 15-time All-American, 9-time NCAA Champion when she was at Tennessee, 11-time USA National Champion, and is in the USA Track and Field Hall of Fame. Joetta is an Olympic athlete who has made an indelible and incredible impact in sports and business after her legendary 24-year elite career as a half-mile runner. Joetta represented the United States of America, as I said, in the 88, 92, 96, and 2000 Olympic Games, where she was voted as captain. She is a president of Joetta Sports and Beyond, LLC. Find out more information at joettasportsandbeyond.com. It's in the show notes, where she inspires people to discover their champion. She authored a book entitled Joetta's P Principles for Success, Life Lessons Learned from Track and Field. The acclaimed book has been considered a tremendous resource to both corporate executives and the youth. Joetta's father is Joe Clark, who is played by Morgan Freeman in the film Lean On Me. Joetta's daughter is a Saucon Valley graduate, an accomplished athlete in her own right, competing in the most recent Olympic trials. I want to thank Joetta for taking the time to talk to us and encourage you to continue to follow her, learn more about her. This was a tremendous opportunity for me, and I truly appreciate it. So let's get into it. Joetta, thank you so much for taking this opportunity. I'm excited. I'm a fan.
Yes.
I don't try to talk about myself too much during the podcast, but I was a track and field athlete at Moravian University, and during the 90s and the early 2000s, huge. I still watch now, but even back then, you're constantly watching everything. So it's an honor. I know many people who are going to be jealous of me being in the same room with you. So Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to start off because I think a lot of people know this, but some may not. You know, your father was portrayed by Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
In the movie Stand By Me, right? Lean on Me.
Yes.
I apologize. In the movie Lean on Me.
Yes.
Which is powerful, and it's amazing. We just said before we started to have Morgan Freeman play anybody, but let alone your own father.
Yes.
How was that experience? With your father growing up, I imagine that he must have instilled a lot of these principles that you have as you matured.
Yes, I had really stern and strict parents. My father was very stern and strict in the household. So what you saw on TV from the portrayal of the movie to what you may have seen on various shows, the interviews he was on, he was no nonsense with us and no nonsense with the kids. So it was an honor to have a movie made after you while you were alive. So that was something special, and we were excited to have Morgan Freeman play my father because we saw him through Zoom and some of the other things that he played. So it was really cool to be around him, have him follow my father to get his mannerisms down, and then to just have the movie come out. And that movie was filmed in 1989.
Okay.
So this is 2021,
right?
And the movie is still shown, and people still talk about it as if it were yesterday.
Right, it's amazing. When you were younger, did you? Most people know who your father is now. Yes. When you were younger, did you have that sense of how important his presence was, or the things that he was doing?
Well, when I was a kid, my father was a school teacher. When I was in college and in school, that is when the movie and all that came about. Mm-hmm. So I was 21. I was older when that movie came about, and it was still exciting. And I was away at school. So when he was on the Today Show or with Phil Donahue shows back then, I would see that in school. Oh, there's my father. What does he do now? That type of thing. So it was kind of cool to see it done, but I was older.
Sure.
As a kid, I just knew my father was stern. He was educated. He wanted the best for his children. They worked hard to provide for us, and we traveled a lot. So I knew that part of him.
Sure.
And then the celebrity part of my father, I was grown, if you will. So I had a different perspective of it. My sister was 15 years younger than me. I have a brother and a sister.
Okay.
So she grew up 5, 6, 7 with that Lean On Me, that whole scene. Mm-hmm. And she was in the trenches with him during that phase. And my brother's 2 years younger than I am. And he was in college at Villanova University. So it's a big gap. So we were adults when the movie came out, and so she was younger. So she had a different perspective on looking at him as a celebrity, as with us, it was just our dad.
Right, and I think that's interesting because, you look at him as your dad. He's instilling those things in you, and it's not, hey, this is coming from a celebrity.
Correct.
You care about that because it's from your dad.
Yeah, our father. Yes.
I'm curious, how did you originally get started in athletics? Was it like with many kids, you'd try a bunch of different sports, and this is the one that you were good at, or?
No, good question. If you can go back to the 60s,
sure,
when you had Title IX had not really come around yet, so we didn't have the access to the same sports as boys. Mm-hmm. So I played tennis. I danced with the Alvin Dance Company, the junior company. I bowled, and I ran track and played basketball. So that's kind of what I did. And then as I got older, I started running track, and my father wanted us to run middle distance and distances because at that time, Black Americans didn't run distance. It was the Kenyans and Ethiopians. So he wanted to dispel the notion that Black Americans could not run distance. So he put us in distance, and we did well.
Did you? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you ever have that want to run some of the shorter distances? Do you have friends running the 100 meters and 200 meters?
We were good at that, but there was no option. So we may be good at it, but he said we were going to do that, so we did that. And so back in those days, you didn't talk back, and you didn't reason. They said do something, and you pretty much did it. Luckily for us, we were good at it, so it was okay. And I won all the cross country meets, and then I won the mile and 800. So I happened to excel in that. But the bigger point was that if your parents tell you can do something and they provide you the opportunities and they support you, you can do that. And he didn't want people telling his kids what they could not do.
Sure, and you were a mid-distance runner, so 800 meters, 1,500 meters. Do you, looking back on it, do you have one that I'm sure they're both like your babies, do you have one that you like better than the other?
The 800.
Yeah, is it shorter? Or?
I was good at it. I was the best in the world.
Sure.
so I like that. Best in New Jersey, best in high school, best in the college, best as an open athlete.
Which is amazing.
So I was able to make a living from it. So I didn't really try to go down to the 4 or up to the mile. I just stayed with my baby, if you will.
But I mean, you could have, right? I mean, you definitely could have.
Yeah, I could have done. I could have done the 4. I could have done the mile. The training would be different.
Sure.
But I think that from high school, I just kind of stuck in the 8:15, and then I would run cross country as a way to help my team.
Base up.
Well, to help my team in college.
Okay.
I was good. The best
of course, but
in high school, best in the country. But in college, I was like 4th, 5th person on the team. So that was my role for cross country.
But then that allows you to have that strength for the 800 meters if you're doing the 5Ks and the 3Ks.
Yes, 3Ks, yes.
So, the thing that amazes me so much with you is your longevity. You're looking from the late 70s to the early 2000s of being consistently the best in the world or among that tier. Rarely injured. I don't think you've missed any championships throughout your career. What do you attest that to being able to have that such a long, I mean, that's amazing. Some people don't even have 2 years.
Well, I think for me, when I started, because there was no money involved, I just liked it. I liked running. And for women at that time in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, there wasn't really much money unless you were really, really good.
Right.
And you have to remember it was communism. East Germany, West Germany, Yugoslavia, all these countries have dissolved now, but Romania. So you had to run against the Eastern Bloc countries, and they were running 153, and my best at that time was maybe 159.
Right.
So I was just happy to be in the races with them most of the time. So my longevity came because I, 1, enjoyed it, and I wasn't chasing the money, and 2, I was given a body by God to be healthy. So genetically, I was able to run. We did a lot of LSD, and that wasn't drugs. That was long. That was long, slow distance.
After the practice.
Yeah, that was long, slow distance. So for me to be able to do that training and still be around in 2000 when training changed, and we didn't run on grass. We didn't have all these swimming and ultra Gs. We didn't have these things. So I was just doing plain, straight out running on cement. Period. We didn't have these cushiony sneakers. So I was able to stay healthy. So that was something that happened through the grace of God. And then when 1989 came around, the wall came down in Berlin. So now Eastern Bloc countries have dissolved. The drug situation changed. So now I go from just being okay to running 158, 157, which is now one of the best times in the world. And then I hung in there until 2000 and kept getting better and better.
Did you go from running in New Jersey in high school against really good competition, the best in the state, but then you line up on a track next to the best in the world in not a lot of time, maybe just a few years, if that.
Yeah.
How is that mentally to look over and just be like, wow, this is the best of the best?
So you're right. In New Jersey, I went undefeated, the best in the state, best high school in the country. And then in college, one of the best. I won a bunch of NCAA titles and All-American championships at the University of Tennessee. And I then line up against the world. And my time is no longer any good, but that goes to the point of you have to believe in yourself and you have to have fun. So I was having fun. I knew what my mission was at that time. I was traveling across the world for free. I represented the United States in all these places for free. So that was really good. And I had a small little contract, which wasn't much, but a little contract at the time. And then I just got better and better and better. And then I hung in there long enough to make a living out of it. So I didn't look at it as running against the best in the world because I'm one of them now.
Right.
You see,
right,
so it's a different.
I guess
I had
it's
to look
a
at it
mindset.
differently.
Yeah.
It wasn't maybe my first year or two. It was like, oh, there is Jamila Krejcikova, or there is Dorian Malente, or there is Anna Kurot. But then I'm become them.
Right. So it's like, who am I looking at? They're looking at me this way.
Looking at me, yes.
That's a good. But where throughout the world? I mean, this is probably a hard question to answer.
Okay.
But in America, it's a little bit different when it comes to track and field. And like in Europe, the Diamond League meets. I mean, that's like it's huge. The stadiums are packed.
Right.
What are some of your favorite overseas places that you've competed?
Wow, the same meets you see now are the meets that I enjoy going to. Monte Carlo. I would go to Zurich. I like going up to Oslo and England, Gateshead. So those meets are still on the circuit, and I enjoy going to those meets. And I won. I won Oslo. I took third a couple times in Zurich. Monte Carlo, I won down there. So I mean, it was really cool to be able to see the meets now and say I ran there and I won those races as well.
And kind of transitioning to that, clearly the Olympics just took place. How have things, clearly things have been different. We all know this.
Yes.
But coming from a track and field perspective, how has it been difficult maybe for some of the athletes that you've seen over the last year and a half? How have things changed in that sense?
With the COVID situation, it changed because of no competitions, basically training all the time. But I think out of it, they trained, they were healthy, their bodies rested. So that's why in 2021, you saw so many amazing performances because they had time off, their bodies were rested, and they were able to get ready for this year when they were able to compete again. So this year, I look forward to seeing what's going to happen because they ran a lot more last year, even with the college kids. Last year, they were in school maybe virtually. They weren't walking around on campus. They rested a lot. So now they're walking to classes. They're studying longer. They're trying to get involved in the football games, basketball games. They're trying to be a student and a student athlete. So I want to see how that transitions to competition because now you are really immersed in the collegiate experience as where 2020 and the beginning of 2021, you were basically kind of in your dorm if you were on campus or at home and weren't part of the culture of a college athlete, having to make decisions. Do I go to that party? Do I go hang out? Do I get involved in that? So I want to see what happens this year because it will really be a true example of being a student athlete.
Right. Talking about some of those exciting athletes, I mean, we have a thing Mo, right, who's amazing.
Yes.
Like, do you see a little bit of her in you? I know that she was one of your former track camp member. So you have personal experience with her. Can you talk a little bit about that, or how special she is?
Well, a thing didn't go to my track camp.
Okay.
A thing was a dear friend of my daughter's. She ran for the Trenton Track Club from New Jersey. So I've seen her run for years, and I watched her, and I'm Auntie Joetta to a thing. And just to see her win 2 gold medals at 19 is just unbelievable. And not only gold medals, the times that she ran, that was just unbelievable. So she surpassed, the joke was to beat my time, which is 157. So she did that quite handily, running 154. So that was really good. And then my daughter ran the 400 with her thing, and they happened to be in the same conference. Her thing was at Texas A&M, and my daughter Talitha Diggs is at the University of Florida. So the two of them were the best collegiate runners in the country, and they were just 18. My daughter's a young 18, and I think was 19. So they're running against girls that are 22, 23 because of COVID plus redshirt. So to have Talitha run 50.7, second best time ever in Florida's history, and then a thing run 48s and 49s, it was just really special to see the two of them compete.
Can you talk? Your daughter also competed in the trials.
Yes.
She didn't advance, but can you talk about that experience?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I know as a competitor, to get to that level and not advance, you're still upset about it. You know, most people are like, oh, that's amazing, you got there. Clearly, you know, she wanted to succeed and have her goals met. But can you talk a little bit about how she handled that and what her plans are and what you see?
Well, I think as an athlete, you always want to make the team, especially when you see people that are good, but you're right there with them. Mm-hmm. I think for Talitha, it was a transitioning year, and she just kind of ran out of steam toward the end. I think this year, moving forward, they'll make some adjustments, and she will be able to continue to rise and peak at the trials. For her, she was upset like anybody else would be. And I think we asked the question, when did you know that you really wanted to make the Olympic team? And she said, when I didn't make it. When she didn't make it, she said, I really knew I wanted to make it. So I think with that mindset of not making the team, it will help her to make some adjustments mentally and physically for this upcoming year. But I think that you can't go into it saying, well, I didn't make it, or that person made it, moving forward, because that's over with.
Right.
What's the takeaway? What do you have to do differently? What does the coach have to do differently? Does your support team have to do differently to help you? And then what do you have to do differently? Or what do we have to keep the same to make you that marquee collegiate athlete and an open athlete? So I think that we have a good finger on the pulse for her this year, and I look forward to seeing what she does.
And I could be wrong about this. I just thought about, isn't the Olympics, hasn't it kind of the timetable been moved up because of the delay, or?
No, it's still 24 that would be in Paris, and then this year, 2022, you have the World Championships that would be in Eugene, Oregon.
Right, okay.
So they're going to keep that, get back on schedule.
And I do want to mention that Talitha is a Saucon Valley graduate, so it's Lehigh Valley, connection. We wish her all.
She graduated from Saucon Valley. She was a very smart student and is in college as well. She's all SEC academic and athletically. And she was homecoming queen when she was at Saucon Valley, and a lot of great stuff that she did there. She really loved the town, the community, and she always wants to do something. So when she comes back, she always goes by to see the kids.
That's great. And now moving on, because we could spend hours talking about your career and all the amazing things that you've done and things that you've seen. But I think it's also important to note you've had this long career in athletics, and now you retire, and you go, instead of retiring, let me just start another career as a motivational speaker, an author, and you have some of your products here we're going to talk about. What was that? Can we talk about when you were retired? To begin, did you say, I want to take a break? Clearly not. You wanted to continue to work. What was that mindset when you made that decision?
When I retired in 2000, it was the first time that our family made the Olympic team. We went 1, 2, 3 in the 800. My sister won, my sister-in-law was second, I was third, and my brother coached all of us. So when I retired in 2000, they wanted me to do one more year, 2001, a goodbye year.
Okay.
So I didn't want to do that. I had enough. I was done. I was 38 at the time. And I believed to whom much is given, much is required. I wanted to start a family. So I knew that running wasn't part of my cards. I had done enough. And so I said, well, what else can I do? And as I said, to whom much is given, much is required. So I thought that I would use my track and field contacts and notoriety to start a business. So I had already been speaking since 1988.
Okay.
But I was selectively speaking. That means small assemblies here and there.
Or people like invited you to do something, yeah.
So then in around 99, 2000, I started Joetta Sports and Beyond. And at that time, I did not know what the Beyond was going to be, but I kind of liked that name, Joetta Sports and Beyond. And I started doing motivational speaking, and then I started track and field camps. And it was the 21st year of my track camp this year. And we started the foundation in 2002, where we did a lot of scholarships. We've given over $75,000 worth of scholarships to student athletes. So I just kind of stayed in that lane, then just kept morphing and redefining myself and what I wanted to do.
And why is it important for you to give back? I mean, I think it's a very easy question to ask, sometimes a difficult one to answer, but what is it to you that compels you to do stuff like that?
I think people do things differently, but for me, I've been given the gift to speak, to motivate, and people listen. So I have an audience, I have a platform, so what am I going to do? Track and field is what I've done, so I know sports, and I know business. For about 5 or 6 years, I was the commissioner of sports in New Jersey when we had the Xanadu, it was called New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority, prior to becoming Xanadu. So that's when the Nets, the Jets, the Devils, the Giants, the Metro Stars were all at the Meadowlands Sports Complex. It's changed since then. So because I was involved in that industry, that billion-dollar industry, I decided to trickle down, if you will, and see what I can do on the grassroots level. So that's why I think it's important to give back, because I can. I have a platform, I have connections, and to do something I enjoy doing.
And I mean, working with young athletes too, I would imagine, and it's not just the ones who do incredibly well and who win Olympic medals, but I'm sure it's the others who compete in athletics, and then it becomes a part of their life that can help them in whatever else that they decide to do.
Well, the camp has had amazing athletes come through the camp. Sidney McLaughlin's come to camp, Miles Marshall, my daughter Talitha Diggs, Nan Bridges, Portia Dobson. We have people who have gone on to do amazing things in college, but then you have the kids that just want to come. And so we say this camp is not about being an Olympic champion, but it's about being the champion of your life. So they come into the camp, they meet different people, they have a great time, and they learn a life skill that they can take with them. And they meet friends, they stay in touch with one another, and that's so exciting. So for me, being a businesswoman with the track and field camps, with the motivational speaking, I go into school programs, and we do programs that focus on mind, body, and fitness. So it's called Head to Toe Fitness. I have a partner now where we do a thing called Joe Time Fitness, and that's a lot of athletic fitness and spiritual fitness and mental fitness. So we do a really good job with that. And with Joe Time Fitness, our goal is to meet you where you are. And so corporations have us come in to implement fitness programs, to talk to them about what it takes to be successful in business, and how being physically fit helps them with their end product, which is to make sure morale is good and productivity is increased.
Is that one of the things that you talk about? I apologize, I haven't read your book, but is that one of some of the things, the principles that you talk about? What are some of the ones that, if you were to give a talk to a business person or an entrepreneur who maybe hasn't run a day in their life, how can they still?
Well, the book has P principles for life. So the book has questions at the end of the chapter, and the goal is for you to read the book, and at the end of each chapter, you answer the questions, and then you have a template for whatever your initial goal was. So this book is used on college campuses for the freshman experience. A lot of corporations buy the book for their employees to help them navigate through diversity and inclusion and things like that. So that's the basic fundamentals of the book.
I remember in high school, I bought Michael Johnson's Slaying the Dragon book right after he won in Atlanta, and that was a big motivational. I just remember I saw it the other day because it's sitting on my bookshelf.
Yes.
I want to talk, you mentioned the Head to Toe Fitness program, and that's already begun, correct? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So that program is a program that we're doing in Allentown at CSC schools, and that's a pre-K program. So myself and Tyrone Johnson and Elizabeth Walker are some of the people that implement the program with the pre-K students there. Right. And they call them kiddos. So we go in and we do a fitness part, which is relay races, balancing, team participation, and then we're also in the classroom going over ABCs and alphabet and little small math problems with the kids. And so we do the fitness and then the academic part. And it's really cool. We collect data on them and we see where they were at the beginning of the class and we see where they are now. So it was a really great opportunity to be able to have these programs and give them something fresh and new. And they're so happy to see us. They don't want to leave. They learn. And you think at 4 and 5, what are they going to learn? Well, they learn about, first of all, listening, following instructions, and they learn to respect one another. We take time with them. So it's really cool. The programs that we do are pre-K through 12. So we just adapt the programs for the group that we're speaking to.
Okay. I think that's interesting. I mean, it's important where you're, hey, here are the athletic things, and I'm an Olympic athlete who can show you some of the, really important things, but it's also classroom as well.
Right.
Is that something that you see go hand in hand? If you're going to do well on the field, it's important to do well in the classroom.
Absolutely. My mother was Joetta Clark, and my father's Dr. Joe Clark, and they believed in academics and also athletics. So I also want to implement that for kids. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you're going to be a student athlete, you're going to make sure you do the best that you can. Everybody can't get an A or be a valedictorian, but you can maximize your skill sets. And I always say your mind's like a parachute. It only works when it's open. So it doesn't matter what school you are attending. If you're not open and receptive to the knowledge, you're not going to learn. So it doesn't matter if you're at Tennessee or Moravian or wherever you are, if you're not getting involved in this curriculums, if you're not getting involved in the classroom setting, if you're not meeting people, it's not going to end well for you.
Right, and maybe you'll do well for a little while in one field, but after a while, it's good to have that balance. You have even more. We didn't talk about the State Farm October's Fire Prevention Month.
Yes.
And can you talk a little bit about your partnership with State Farm and what's that?
Wow, that's exciting. Arlene Lester from State Farm came over to us and wanted to be part of our podcast. I say our because I have Tyrone Johnson as my co-host, and he happened to be a retired firefighter. Okay. So they were like, oh, wow, this would be really great. Do it in October where you have him as part of this whole process. So what we have is we get sponsors to sponsor the whole month. So State Farm is sponsoring the entire month of October, Fire Prevention Month, but State Farm does more than just insurance. They do financial things, they do driver safety. So our other weeks will talk about teen driving and insurance and financial fitness, and so it's going to be really good. We did the first show already, and that went well. Fire prevention and fire safety. So we had a great audience for that.
I mean, you're really branching out. I didn't even get to. I want to talk about some of your beauty products as well, your skincare and all that. But I mean, going into having a podcast, going into, you're really trying to get to all these different avenues to continue to reach people, and I think that in itself is a lesson to other people who are maybe looking to do that, to say, hey, take advantage of the opportunities that you have. You can start a podcast. Just look at us. We're sitting in here doing pretty quickly. So.
Well, I think for me, there are some times that you want to do things just to do, and then other times you want to make it a business. So the podcast for us has become a business because we have sponsors, and we get sponsorships, and it helps with the bills, if you will. But I think that the passion that we have, and the passion that I have for my kids, the passion that I have for women and men of all colors, all ethnicities, I think that is really something that permeates throughout what I do, and that is what energizes me. So it's not about just being exclusive I'm about being inclusive.
Okay.
And so I try really hard to have programs to talk about, give people information that's going to let you know that we may look differently, but there's a lot of similarities here. So let's look at those things.
Right. And let's talk a bit, too, about some of the products you have. When did you become another entrepreneur? Well,
in order to be self-employed, and I've been that for over 25 years, and most businesses don't make it past 5, self-employed. So I did the Joetta, which is an all-natural body perfume, and it's a rollator. And I came up with this because I was at an event, and people were saying to me, Joetta, we want to be like you, we want to be a champion like you, but we can't run. What do you have? What else do you have? I'm like, wow, what do I have? I don't have anything. But then I came up with the perfume and saying, hey, if you put this on, you could be a champion as well.
Sure.
So this is the Joetta. So then I got the Mango Queen, which is a body lotion, and then we have the body scrub. So wherever you are, if you want to be like me or aspire to greatness or being your champion, put some of this on, and then it's like it switches that switch inside of you that says, hey, I got to turn it up a notch because Joetta is next level.
Yeah, you're like, so I have to respect her if I'm putting this on.
Yeah,
do you get any faster with that? If I were to wear that,
geez, I don't have anything to make it.
My 40 time?
You don't get faster, but you smell good. You smell good, that's for sure. And your skin is nice and smooth. And it's all natural. Okay. So if anyone wants to get the Joetta products, they can go to my website.
Sure.
Joetta Sports and beyond.com, or they can just put my name in Google search and it comes up. Put Joetta in and it comes up.
And we are going to have all those links in our show notes, so if you want to check out any of her stuff, just go in the show notes and do that. Kind of to wrap up here, I mean, again, if we had all day, we could do this. I know that you're busy, you have things that you're going to today, and I appreciate your time again. But for someone, who's accomplished so much, and continues to do so, how do you stay motivated? How do you wake up and go, okay, I don't need necessarily to do all these things I'm going to do today. I've accomplished so much. I could go to, wherever in the Caribbean and enjoy some time. Yes. How do you stay motivated? How do you get up and do that?
Well, I think it's my personality, first of all. And I think that I'm always wired. And I think that my parents raised us that way, to be relevant, to be humble, and to make a difference not only in your life but in the lives of others. So as long as I have the energy and breath and the expertise, I'm going to continue to do that. Now, there are times when you want to, just relax. Sure. So that's why with the book and with the perfumes, those are other ways and resources for me to generate some income. Right. And the motivational speaking, I love to do that. So I enjoy speaking to corporations and colleges and universities and kids. I'm passionate about that. And so I think that if I had to choose between the two, the speaking I would do forever. Okay. Because it allows me to talk to people, to touch and feel. And even during the pandemic, I've been doing things virtually, and it's worked out well. Sometimes now I do go back in person, and I'm going back on college campuses now. But I think that when I'm talking to student athletes or corporate people, I think the message isn't about, again, being an Olympic champion, but it's about being the champion of your life, and maximizing your skill sets so that this world is a better place, so that your job is a better place, so that your children are better people. So I think that that's the message that I like to spread when I'm speaking. And I give you steps, like the book, have a purpose, get prepared, be patient, get perturbed, persevere, and pray. And those are my P's that I try to instill or either introduce to you to help you get through your day in the office, your day at home, your day as a student athlete. It doesn't really matter what you are, but if you use those P's, it can help you through everything.
And I think now is the time, the last year, there's a lot of people who could use that, and who are maybe looking for some of those messages. So Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I want to thank you again so much for taking the time to speak with us today. This has been great. And I know there's going to be so many people jealous of me. I can't wait to put the podcast out there. So Joetta, again, thank you so much. Good luck. Joetta Clark-Diggs, please check out all of her notes in our show notes, all the links in the show notes to find out more about her.
Yes.
And again, good luck with all the upcoming, the Head to Toe Fitness program, the podcasts I want to listen to.
Yes.
And I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, George. I appreciate being here.
Another huge thank you to Joetta. Please be sure to check out JoettaSportsAndBeyond.com for her most recent up-to-date information and everything that she's doing. I'm your host, George Wacker with the Lehigh Valley with Love podcast. Thank you to our sponsors, Michael Bernardin with Remax Realty, Molly's Irish Sports Pub and Grill in Bethlehem, and Venture X. We want to do some stuff with you, so get in touch with us. All of our links are in the show notes, or hit us up at LehighValleyWithLoveMedia.com. We'll talk to you soon.